come back and talk a little bit more about honorifics in my translations, because in the last video, all I really talked about is how I don't like using them, but I didn't really go into detail about what I used instead. So in this video, I'm just going to talk briefly about what I used instead of chan. If you're watching this video, I imagine you probably kind of already know what chan means. It's kind of a cutesy little suffix that people add to people's names in Japan if you are children, or if that person is a child, if you grew up together as children, or if you genuinely think that this person is like a cute kind of it can also have negative connotations, like if you call a butch like man who's older than you chan, it's kind of condescending, unless you guys are cool with that and you're friends or something. So what I use instead of chan, I have a few examples. And we do this in English. Like if somebody were, speaking to me in a bit of an endearing tone, they say, "Oh, Sarah love, could you get that piece of paper off of the table for me?" It's that kind of feeling. There's a character in this one Ultimate game that is super, super bubbly, girlish, like just very sweet. If she were a person, actually I know a few people like her in America in my daily life, and they're all like, "Oh, hi sweetie, oh, it's so good to see you again," hug, that kind of person. This is the kind of character she is. So that's what I do with her. When she calls someone chan, I'll usually add a hyphen or a comma, and then do sweetie in place of chan. Or instead of saying like Yoshiko sweetie, I would just have her say sweetie, like, "Hey sweetie, how's it going?" She has a crush on one of the bachelors in this game, and she also calls him chan. But in that connotation, I actually have her say my. I add the my before the person's name. That's another way that you can kind of express chan. It's this endearing, like let's just say that his name was Jean. It's not, but let's just say it was. She'd say my Jean instead of Jean chan. Or she calls him Jean baby. Like she'll add a baby to the end of it. Baby is another way that you can approximate chan in English. It has that sort of younger, cutesy, but also endearing quality to it. And another way in which I express chan is, this one I don't use as much, and it's more if the use of chan is less endearing and a little bit more on the condescending side, or like the teasing side. I will express it with little before the person's name, or lil before the person's name. So if it were me, if someone were calling me Sarah-chan, in this context it would be little Sarah or lil Sarah. And oftentimes I'll use this like if the character is talking about the person rather than addressing the person. So it's like if Tom is talking about me with somebody else, he'll say, "Aw, little Sarah, she's so weird." But he wouldn't necessarily call me Lil Sarah. He wouldn't necessarily be like, "Hey, Lil Sarah," but maybe. I sometimes do that. So those are some ways in which I translate chan into English so that it is its own thing and it's not like just very Japanesey chan, chan, chan. There are plenty of ways of expressing chan somewhat naturally in English, so that's yet another reason why I don't think people should automatically just cop out and just use chan, because there really are some equivalents in English. So if you have any more questions about honorifics or chan, I maybe will make other videos about the other honorifics, going into more depth of how I translate them, but I wanted to do chan first because I just spent the last couple weeks noticing the different ways in which I translate chan, and I've been taking notes, so I wanted to make this video just to clarify what I do instead of using chan. And as always, if you have any more questions pertaining to translating Japanese, specifically Ultimate games or anime, let me know in the comments, and I will maybe make videos about them. Bye!